Hello, Tauranga. Very happy to be here this morning. My name is Larissa Logan. I am the founder of Alyrt. I've got Luke over here, who's my partner, but also my co-founder. Alyrt has been, it's a fintech business. We've just been through 2 accelerators in the last 12 months through Fintech Lab, Ignite, where we validated the problem, and Fintech Ignite, where we validated the problem, and then Fintech Lab most recently, where we've just built out the platform and onboarded our first pilot customers. This is a piece of fintech. I am a liquidator by trade, and I've built this platform because I've seen a massive missing advisory piece for SMEs in the New Zealand market. So what we do is we are 90-day predictive cash flow forecast modelling from SMEs data, real time. Think of open banking, Xero, WhatsApp, your C drive, data, and all of these fragmented places. We bring it together for an SME to have real time advice so they can make better business decisions. So, here we go. Next. Here we go. This won't be any surprise to anyone in this room. If you read the newspaper, every day there's another business failing in this country. We're seeing liquidation numbers at record level highs as per the GFC. And the number one problem I see with my turnaround clients and my clients that are going through an insolvency process is they wish they had seen me earlier. They don't have cash flows and they can't see problems ahead of time. But there we go. Yes, so no visibility over their cash position. I presented up and down the country at banks, financiers, law firms, and speaking to these businesses where they're dealing with SMEs daily, they are saying to me only about 15% of SMEs have cash flows, and that's a real problem. So we've got business owners running off the bank balance, but not understanding that you've got IRD 3 weeks' time, and that's actually going to impact you being able to pay them or pay wages. 90% of the customers that I have dealt with in the last 2 years through my insolvency business have been in the construction sector. This sector has been hit incredibly hard. So we've started with this sector first because we want to provide an immediate support to try to improve the visibility for these business owners. These are just a number of the different subsectors that we've got on the pilot at the moment. We've actually got 5 on at the moment, and Akahu, which is our open banking partner, has opened up another 10 spots for us while we go through a pen test. And so we're looking at bringing on retail and hospitality as well. What we're seeing with these businesses currently on the pilot, they don't have cash flow forecasts, so we're building that for them immediately. But we're able to add immediate value real time from the moment that we onboard these businesses. And the option, if they don't see us, then in 6 months' time, in my professional opinion, they would probably be liquidated. So I have real world lived experience my whole life. This is me up here and my family. My dad owned a concrete swimming pool business in the Waikato in Hamilton for 46 years. And what I can tell you is no one buys a pool in the downturn. The impact on our family was significant during that period. And why that's important is because there are people behind the numbers. There's families like mine, there's employees, there's creditors, there's customers, and the communities that they serve. And it's so very important that we actually provide the right tools to our SMEs because there are so many people impacted when a business falls over. That's me on the right-hand side. I'm an Auckland Regional Counsellor for Chartered Accountants, Australia and New Zealand. I'm also on the board of RITANS, which is our national insolvency body. I'm very ingrained in the New Zealand business community around how we can actually grow and improve our businesses so we have a more productive economy. So I've worked at some of the largest firms, EY, Deloitte, bespoke insolvency firms like Quartermentha. I've worked on the largest New Zealand turnaround and insolvency engagements, as well as global. And so I am bringing real world experience. This is not a piece of AI that's making this up on the spot. I have built these skills that are in our system based on what I have seen made, making businesses fail, so we can stop that, so we can actually help grow and help them see opportunities ahead of time and help them mitigate risk real time using their data they already have. 97% of our businesses are SMEs. It's 570 odd thousand. The target that we're looking at is the businesses between 5 to 49 staff, your typical mum and dad business. Maybe dad's on the tools, mum's in the office, she's doing Xero. She doesn't really know what she's doing. She's doing her absolute best. No one between them. They don't have great financial literacy. And because they don't have that great financial literacy, and they might not have the best support externally with their advisors, they aren't forecasting ahead of time to see problems before they become major risks in their business. And this is the gap that Alyrt looks to close. So this here is an example of where we're heading. We're currently in a full rebuild of our platform, and we have a UX and UI designer currently reframing the whole look of it. If you think about Apple minimalistic, we're building for neurodiversity because a lot of the business owners I've dealt with in the construction sector, they have some type of neurodiversity. So we don't want to overwhelm them with words and numbers and messaging. All we need to give them is 3 clear steps. What's the problem? When's it going to happen? Who do I contact? Because it's those 3 steps, and that's why I loved listening to Richard before about the UX UI piece, because it's so important, and also around the people piece, because AI shouldn't be replacing people. It should be speeding up processes so you can add more value to your customers, right? It should be automating processes so you can actually have more time to add value to your customers and grow your business. So what I'd like to do next is play you a video of an SME business owner. Will that play? What do you guys do in-house to be able to understand your profitability per project?
We're kind of a small to medium-sized business, and we use Xero. We use the raw reporting through Xero, but usually that's at the end of the project, when it's actually in the past. We don't have at the moment a way to actually look at projections. It's really a hard industry to be able to do that. If we had a good tool, that would be great.
Yeah, a good tool would be great. And so come see me after if you would like to have a look at Alyrt. But honestly, she's actually on our pilot, and it's really cool because our pilot customers are helping us build Alyrt for them, for their businesses. And we know that if we build it for their business, that other businesses in the construction sector will find that valuable. We're not just pulling it off the shelf and going, oh, we think they need this and they need that. We're asking them, we built this, what do you think? And then we're pulling into multiple data sources to get the real-time, accurate information. The first thing we need to do, right, is we need to build the cash flow first. That underpins our whole platform. So if you think of an SME, they have multiple different fragmented data sources, and we are pulling it together. So with each pilot that we onboard, we're looking at what APIs can we connect to. Can we connect to their quoting system, CRM, scheduling, their C drive, B drive, E drive, I don't care what drive. If we can try to connect to it, we're trying to do that to automate the data to come into the system. Think of payroll. IRD's not quite there yet, but they're looking at having an API ready next year, and we're looking at going into the sandbox for that. We've put our hand up. But if you think about SME businesses and how important understanding what your IRD position is at the moment with $10 billion of tax arrears, like they are chasing hard. very hard. And if you are a business owner and do not understand your tax position at the moment and you're on a payment plan and you're missing payments, then you're in big trouble. So we are making sure that we are getting the data and the information and bringing it to the SME business owners so they can be proactive instead of being reactive. So I'd like to play you another video here of a very experienced CEO.
We struggle sometimes, and I think this is a New Zealand thing. People don't want to reach out for help until it's too late. And we're trying to shift that mindset too. There's no harm in having a conversation about, hey, look, things have been a bit of a grind here for a couple of months. I might need somebody to give me some support to look at how I might find a way through, or are there some additional cost-cutting measures that I could introduce? But too often we're seeing the need to get people involved at a point when the horse is bolted.
Yeah, and the horse has bolted, and this is what I hear too often, pretty much every week from clients that come to see me. I wish I had seen you earlier. They just didn't know what to do. And so I knew that when we built this system, it couldn't just be, I tell you what the problem is and when it's going to happen and how much. I actually also need to give you, who do you contact? Because they don't know. And what I say to business owners is, you don't have to be experienced in everything. There's not one business owner that's good at marketing, that's good at sales and finance and law and managing staff and customers and on the tools. But you do have to get the right advice around you. And that's where we're trying to support another layer of, once you know what the problem is, how much it's going to cost, and when it's going to happen, who you contact. So if you have a look at this here, this is a typical SME's structure of where all of their data is. Xero, bank feeds, payroll, IOD, invoices, receipts. What we do is we bring all of that into Alyrt, and then we've written hundreds of skills where we then generate your cash flow forecast. We understand that we are only ever going to be, we're hoping to get into the 90s very shortly, but we're only ever going to be able to do, let's say 90% of the work, and you're going to need a human in the loop to do the balance. And we keep improving accuracy over time, because we don't know that you've just had a phone call with one of your customers and they've just said, I can't pay until the 20th of next month, right? So you're going to have to move that. But for everything else, we can predict it based on past experience, based on past transactions from open banking, from Xero, and from all the multiple other data sources that you have. So I want to just play another clip here. Before Alyrt can surface any intelligence, we need that cash flow built. This is a banker at Westpac and her view of cash.
As the saying goes, cash is king. And I think, if I am honest, a lot of businesses, they take their eye off the cash flow until it's absolutely desperate and they're looking to pay wages the next day. So keeping a temperature check on cash, whether it's in the good times or the bad times, is always a really important thing. I think if I was running a business, and I have run businesses, cash was everything.
I mean, cash is everything right at the moment. What I'm seeing in the construction sector specifically is, one customer doesn't pay because someone else hasn't paid them. And it's this massive domino impact, and everyone's just trying to hold on for as long as possible. And we thought last year we were going to just get over this hump, and then the tariffs happened, and then I thought, oh, we're going all right, and then Iran happened, and now we've got these inflationary pressures coming in. And so it's more important than ever to have an understanding of what your cash position is 90 days in advance. So you're not ringing up the bank tomorrow and saying, hey, I can't make wages. Can you provide a temporary overdraft to me? So this is level one, that we have to build that cash flow forecast to be able to provide all of the alerts on top of that. So we've spent a lot of time on building out the skills and the workflow prompts that allow us to get 85% accuracy at the moment. And it's just it's a continual continual working every day on trying to improve this number so we can get into the 90s. The next piece is looking at the financial intelligence, which comes back to the skills. We started with 120 before we onboarded any pilot customers. Just from that onboarding process, I have another 50 that need to come in. So we are writing specific sector-related skills for these businesses. This is not off the shelf. This is specific sector-related. On top of that, and this is what I really love, because I say a third of the work that I do as a liquidator is in the law, a third is accounting, and the other third is psychology. So the importance of businesses understanding what pieces of legislation, what regulatory pressures are they under, what do they need to abide by. We're baking this in. Every single director that we're speaking to in the pilot, we're asking them, what regulations do you have to abide by? What legislation do you have to abide by? Because we are then building that in, and we know that if they will use it, other businesses will use it as well. And this is the magic. This is what I love. This is what hasn't been available to SMEs because they cannot afford someone like me at $600 an hour. They now get multi-advisory intelligence. This is like super, super, super cool, because how do we improve the outcomes for these businesses if they can't afford it? So we're making this affordable for businesses so they can proactively mitigate risks ahead of time. So now let me show you a couple of examples in the system. This was looking at a scaffolding company. This was our first pilot customer, and he has heavy trucks. He's going all over Auckland. He's got a couple of crews, and he wanted to know, what is the impact of the Iran war on my business for the next 12 months? And so what this is showing here is the system working through skills that we have built, going back into the data, and then providing this information back to him. It's not just telling him how much it's going to cost. It's also saying to him, what should you do? And it's not asking him to guess. It is suggesting, would you like to have a look at your fuel adjustment factor, for example? The interesting thing about this one, when he saw these numbers, and we also worked out the true cost of labour, because no one knows the true cost of their labour. They miss out things like ACC, 3% Kiwi saver, they don't bring into account. Employees take the 10 days sick leave as holiday. Bake all of that in, your actual costs that you need to be charging to break even is a lot higher than quite often what they are charging. When we worked out the true cost of labour, plus the fuel adjustment costs for him, he was like, no one's going to pay this. And he said, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And so we've actually built skills now to help him wind the business up. He is going to walk away with $160K cash in his pocket, a $60K unencumbered truck, all creditors paid, all employees paid, no personal risk, and he's going to start again. If he had left this for 6 months, I doubt that would have been the situation, because he didn't know. He just had huge margin leakage and he couldn't figure out why. So this one here is a look at the platform currently, but we are doing a full overhaul. It's not going to look like this, but just so you get a vibe of, we're focused on opportunities, because where is that missed growth opportunity? This is currently what the cash flow forecasting looks like, real time. It tells you what the assumptions are. Here you can easily change inputs, drag and drop the numbers to another date. Some of this stuff I think will remain the same, but we're using our pilot customers to tell us what's important to them, how do they want to use the system, so we can make it super easy. We're also having voice activation in here. Exactly what Richard said, around 55% of people are using voice activation. Like, I hate typing now. I'm always talking to the computer. So we are not suggesting that we replace people at all, right? What we're saying is, how do we improve the processes in your business so you can add more value back to your customers? We think once you have the information, you need to go and speak to an advisor or an external party, whether it's the alert is, there's a growth alert, you haven't had much visibility on one of the LLMs. If we've set up a skill to monitor that, maybe you should write some blogs that are SEO focused, LLM focused, write those, and then go and speak to a marketing expert to assist you. In 6 to 12 months' time, we're looking at having vetted advisors, anywhere from auctioneers, marketing, accountants, lawyers, to be able to assist businesses of what they really need. So anyone who's a director in the room, I'm not sure if you do consider what your director's duties are, but quite often when I'm speaking to people, they don't consider until they're sitting right in front of me. But this is really important, because what this does here, this is about profitability, sorry. This is looking at, how do I improve my profitability immediately today? And this is what we're doing, right? We're taking the guesswork out of it. We're actually going to have some of these types of prompts rolling on the side in the new version. And it just gives them a couple of ideas of where they could look to first. Some of the widgets we're designing for the new look version, we're pulling together labour capacity from multiple different sources. We're looking at quoting. We're looking at pipeline versus labour capacity. Do I have capacity to provide more that month, or do I need to hire subcontractors? Because if I need to hire subcontractors, I better put that in my cash flow. And businesses don't think about that, right? They go, oh, I've got this job. I don't have any capacity to complete it this week. I'm going to have to get a subcontractor. We're thinking about that in advance for the SME. This is the director duty piece. And the reason I bring this up is because as a liquidator, when I'm looking at breaches of directors' duties, quite often the impact is the directors, all they want to know is it going to impact my house? Are you coming for my house, right? So how do we protect you from that? How do we save the family home? We give you warnings ahead of time so you can mitigate this risk. And you take clear steps that if the worst does happen, then you've actually taken steps that would actually mitigate you from breaching directors' duties. The challenge is you can't manage what you don't measure, and this is why we're building in all of these skills. These are just a couple of the quotes that we've had from our pilot customers when we have been onboarding them and showing them the system. I mean, that one was from the scaffolding guy. He's pretty stoked, to be honest. And if I have a look at the market at the moment, I think he actually made the right decision. So this is not just a New Zealand problem. This is a global problem that we're looking to solve. We are currently in pilot stage, but we will be looking at onboarding all sectors from 1 September. And then we're looking to scale to Australia next year. We have just been welcomed into the New Market Innovation Precinct in Auckland, which is super exciting. It's a partnership with the university. We get access to PhD students who are helping us build this out. And yeah, I'm super excited. I'm not a tech person, and we've done this in 12 months. So I know that if I can do it, you guys can do it. And if you want to hear about my journey after this, I'm happy to share our learnings. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Larissa. Really